Hello everyone, welcome guys. I am Nachiket Wadekar and today we are going to see the applications of first law of thermodynamics in different isothermal, isochoric, isobaric processes. Before going for that, we will first see why second law of thermodynamics was introduced and what are the disadvantages of first law of thermodynamics. As we know the definition of first law of thermodynamics, energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, but can be converted from one form to another. These concepts I have explained in previous videos. We have seen work as path function, heat as state function. We have seen what is internal energy. Internal energy is also state function. Then we have seen first law of thermodynamics, its statement, its equation, and now we are going to see its applications and disadvantages. Now the concept of first law of thermodynamics tells us that energy cannot be converted nor be destroyed, but can be changed from one form to another. Okay, one form to another. That means what? According to first law of thermodynamics, if I am having a cold end and hot end, I am having a metal. In that metal, one is hot end, other one is cold end. If the energy given out by cold end is equal to the energy absorbed by hot end, then according to first law of thermodynamics, it is possible for transfer of heat between cold end and hot end. Means cold end will transfer heat to hot end, which is not possible. Thermodynamics tells us that it is possible. So to overcome this drawback, second law of thermodynamics was introduced, where randomness and entropy were the concepts which are introduced in second law of thermodynamics. According to second law of thermodynamics, heat or transfer of energy is unidirectional. Transfer of energy means current. Transfer of current is also unidirectional in one direction only. Means any state or any system will move from less random state to more random state, and this process will be a spontaneous process. From less random state to more random state to attain the stability. Means what? Heat will always move from hot end to cold end, where each system tries to have more random state. It is a spontaneous process. Cold end is less spontaneous, molecular vibrations are less. As we transfer heat, hot end will go on transferring heat. Means cold end will absorb heat and become more random. Molecular vibrations will become more random. Means it is going from less random state to more random state. It is a spontaneous process. I will give you one more example. आपण जो धबधबा बघतो, waterfall, it always moves from less random state to more random state. Waterfall, the water which is moving after the waterfall is in more random state. म्हणजे संथ गतीने वरून पाणी येतं आणि जसं ते खाली पडतं तसं त्याची रँडमनेस वाढते आणि ते स्पॉन्टेनियस प्रोसेस आहे. पाणी नेहमी वरून खालीच येतं, खालून वर पाणी जाऊ शकत नाही. व्हेन इफ यू आर हॅव्हिंग कॅपिलरी, in capillary action you can see that there is transfer of water from top to bottom, from bottom to top. Okay, म्हणजे मुळं आपण जर पाहिलं, झाडं जर पाहिली, if you are seeing plants, then what is happening is the water is getting transferred from soil or ground to the leaves of the plant which are at the height of that ground. म्हणजे खालून पाणी वर चाललंय. हे कधी पॉसिबल आहे? फक्त कॅपिलरी ऍक्शन मध्ये पॉसिबल आहे. इतर वेळी इन अदर केसेस वॉटर विल मूव फ्रॉम टॉप टू बॉटम ऑलवेज. ओके, दिस इज व्हॉट मूवमेंट ऑफ मॉलिक्यूल्स फ्रॉम लेस रैंडम स्टेट टू मोर रैंडम स्टेट. दैट वाज द सेकंड लॉ ऑफ थर्मोडायनामिक्स. नाउ व्हाट आर द इफेक्ट्स ऑफ फर्स्ट लॉ ऑफ थर्मोडायनामिक्स ऑन these systems that we are going to see. First law of thermodynamics, we all know the equation that delta U is equal to Q plus W, where W is work and Q is what? Heat exchange. Work, we all know W is equal to minus P epsilon into delta V. So we can substitute this value over here and we get the equation as internal energy of the system is equal to Q minus P epsilon into delta V. Now here we are going to see effect of first law, or how does the first law change in these conditions that we are going to see. Now isothermal means what? Where there is, if I am having this water bath, and in this water bath I am having a container, in this container I am having water and adding drops of HCl, the system's temperature will go on increasing, but as we are placing this system in the water bath, there will be the exchange of heat between system and surrounding. This water bath will not allow the system to change its temperature. If the initial temperature was 25 degrees Celsius, water bath will help the system to maintain its temperature at 25 degrees Celsius. Okay, means delta T, change in temperature, is not taking place, hence it is known as isothermal condition. Okay, and delta T is equal to 0, there is exchange of heat, so Q will not be equal to 0 because there is exchange of heat. If there is an adiabatic condition, in adiabatic condition Q is equal to 0. Adiabatic condition means what? We are having a system and placing that system under thermos flask, where we are having insulator placed over here. Now what will happen, as I am having water over here, I am adding HCl drop in this water, there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding because it is isolated or insulated. The temperature of this system will go on increasing, so exchange of heat is not possible, so Q is equal to 0. As the temperature is increasing, there will be change in its internal energy. How? That we will see by representation, you will understand. Here we are knowing that delta T is equal to 0. As there is no change in temperature, so what will happen? Internal energy will also be equal to 0. Internal energy is temperature dependent. We have seen with increase in temperature, vibrational molecular energies increases and the internal energy changes. Internal energy also increases with increase in temperature. There is no change in the temperature, right? So internal energy will also not change. So delta U will be equal to 0. Substituting the value of delta U in our first law of thermodynamics, we can say that Q is equal to minus W. We can rearrange this equation. Q plus W is equal to 0. Q plus W is equal to 0. We rearrange it. Q is equal to minus W. In this way, we can have the changed form of first law of thermodynamics in isothermal condition, where Q is equal to minus W. And we have seen the formula for work, and that formula for reversible condition. Formula for reversible condition is W is equal to minus 2.303 nRT log of V2 upon V1. Okay, so in this way, this negative sign will cancel each other and we get W is equal to minus 2.303 nRT log of V2 upon V1. This condition we are going to use for delta H. We will see that in our second law of thermodynamics. Okay, these are the formulas which we are going to need in different kinds of MCQs and conceptual MCQs which are asked in the form of statements. So these things are very, very important over there. This was the effect of first law of thermodynamics in isothermal condition. In isochoric means what? Delta V remains constant. There is no change in its volume. Delta V equal to 0. Isochoric means what? I am having a container. This container is completely sealed. I am supplying heat. With increasing heat, volume is not increasing, means internal energy will change. Correct? So we can say that here delta V is equal to 0, change in volume. Isochoric process, change in volume is 0. So we can substitute value over here. Delta U is equal to Q minus 0, so we will get as delta U is equal to Q. This tells us that the amount of heat supplied will be equal to the change in its internal energy. So in this way, we can say that change in internal energy is dependent on heat for isoporic process. Okay. Next is isobaric process. Isobaric process means what? There is no change in pressure where delta P is equal to 0. So delta P equal to 0. I can write down this equation over here also. Delta U is equal to Q. So it will be easy for you to see the equations on the board. Okay. So this is what isophoric process where delta V is equal to 0 and delta U, that is change in internal energy, will be equal to the exchange of heat. Next we are having isobaric process. Isobaric process means what? There is no change in the pressure. Now these isobaric processes are generally carried out in our day-to-day life. For example, if I am having a system where there is cooling of tea in a cup, means what? चहा आपण घेतो, चहा थंड होतो, तो ओपन एटमॉस्फेयर मध्ये असतो. एटमॉस्फेरिक प्रेशर इज ऑलवेज 1 एटमॉस्फेयर, करेक्ट. मग 1 एटमॉस्फेयर मध्ये प्रेशर चेंज झालाय का? नाही. सो डेल्टा पी विल बी इक्वल टू 0 and the system is what? There is decrease in the temperature of that tea. So delta P is equal to 0. Can we substitute this value in our first law of thermodynamics? Are we having delta P over here? We are not having delta P down, but we are having external pressure down. So we can't substitute this value over here. Means what? The formula for first law of thermodynamics remains same for isobaric process. So delta U is equal to Q plus W, means amount of heat exchanged and work done by system or surrounding. I can give you one more example. If I am having a container based with piston and I am filling this container with hot tea. Okay, I am filling this container with hot tea. Then what will happen? There will be decrease in its temperature. With decrease in temperature, you can see that the change in the level of piston will be observed. Means in this way the surrounding is doing work on the system and there is exchange of heat between system and surrounding. So in this example we can see that the change in internal energy of that T will be dependent on heat and work done. Okay, means in isothermal conditions there is change in temperature. In isophoric process there is change in volume. In isobaric process, all isobaric processes are open system, which is easy to understand. Means all open systems can be said to be as isobaric processes. Okay, this is the part. Next, there is adiabatic process. Adiabatic process means what? As I have already told you, adiabatic process means what? We are carrying out this process under adiabatic condition, means isolated conditions. We have isolated that system from the surrounding. Now, what are isolated systems? As I have already told you, thermos. We are carrying out the dissolution of HCl in water under thermos flask. In that, what will happen? There will be increase in the temperature of the system. Exchange of heat is not possible, so Q is equal to 0. When Q is equal to 0, I can substitute the value of Q in this equation and I will get that the internal energy will be equal to the amount of work done by the system or by the surrounding. So in this way, we will understand the change in internal energy of the system. Delta U is equal to W. So these terms we are going to see, and these are the equations which are generally asked in MCQ and multiple choice questions. Now, here we are seeing first law of thermodynamics and we are seeing the disadvantages of first law of thermodynamics. To overcome these disadvantages, we are now going to see the second law of thermodynamics, which is related to enthalpy and entropy. Enthalpy is heat and entropy is randomness of the system. And randomness, as I have already explained you, randomness means what? The molecules move wherever they want with the increase in temperature. If I am having ice, the vibrational molecule will limit their position, means the entropy is less. As the water increases, means the level increases, water level increases, the vibrational energy increases, the motion of the particles increases and randomness increases. Gas molecules are highly random, that means what? The delta S, change in entropy, will change. Okay, so these are the terms which we are going to see right now. In second law of thermodynamics, we have seen what? That is entropy. And entropy is represented by delta S and enthalpy is represented by delta H. First, we are going to see only delta H and then we will go for delta S in next few videos. First, we will go for what? Enthalpy, change in enthalpy, that is represented by delta H. This term you have seen in SN1 and SN2 mechanism, delta H term. Now I will give you an example for change in enthalpy, delta H and SN1 and SN2 mechanism. This is an energy profile diagram for SN2 mechanism. Here we are having energy which is known as excitation energy. This is energy of reactants. This is energy of product. The difference between these two energies will be delta H, which is given out in the form of heat, and it is known as what? Exothermic process. If the energy of reactants is high and energy of product is low, then the excess amount of heat is given out in the form of energy. And if we are having this kind of energy difference, where this is energy of reactants and this is energy of product. In this, what is happening here? There is a large energy difference, and this energy difference is an endothermic process where heat is absorbed by the system. I will give you examples based on that. And again, my favorite example, HCl in water, exothermic process, heat is given out. HCl is at higher energy level. When it is dissolved in water, energy level decreases, heat is given out. For this process, now both, this is also a spontaneous process and this is also a spontaneous process, like dissolution of KNO3 in water. These experiments you are going to carry out in your 12th practicals, board practicals also. Our practicals are arranged based on the topics which you have studied in theory. So, if your theory is very well, then it will be easy for you to understand the practicals. In practicals, you are going to perform dissolution of CuSO4 and dissolution of KNO3. In dissolution of CuSO4, it is an exothermic process. Dissolution of KNO3 is an endothermic process. Both the processes are spontaneous. Okay, so that KNO3 in our textbooks they have explained us that this is a non-spontaneous process. This is a spontaneous process. Why this is non-spontaneous? Because products are at higher energy level, reactants are at lower energy level. But this is true. If the product is at higher energy level, then the reaction is not possible. This is true. But there are few exceptions where, for example, dissolution of KNO3 is a spontaneous process, but yet it is an endothermic process. Means the energy of products is at higher energy level and energy of reactants is at lower energy level. KNO3 molecules, to dissociate, they absorb heat from water and the temperature of that water decreases. That's why it is known as endothermic process. And here there is exothermic process. We are going to see which processes are spontaneous and which processes are non-spontaneous depending upon the delta H, delta G, delta S values. These three values will explain why this process is spontaneous but yet endothermic. Okay, we will see that. We are going to go for that in our next few videos. I have just introduced you this concept. So in this way, we will get what? For endothermic process and exothermic processes, depending upon the exothermic, depending upon the energy levels of the reactants and products. Okay, this is represented by delta H. This delta E can be represented by delta H, which is known as enthalpy, exchange of heat. There are many different kinds of enthalpy. The example which I gave you of CuSO4 and KNO3, The heat related to that is known as enthalpy of dissolution, because both CuSO4 and KNO3 are dissolving in water. When they are dissolving, you are observing the change in temperature or change in heat. That is known as what? Enthalpy of dissolution. In enthalpy of dissolution, there are two types: exothermic and endothermic dissolution. In this way, we are going to see different enthalpies in further videos. Here, today we are going to see the formula for that enthalpy, and that formula can be given as for cysteine 1, where I am having only CuSO4 in solid state. That will have in its internal energy and P1 V1, that will have its initial pressure and volume. Now, if I am having dissolution of CuSO4, I have added CuSO4 in water. Now, we can relate this H1 enthalpy of that water. Initially, before adding CuSO4, water was there. Water will have its own internal energy, pressure and volume. Okay. I added CuSO4 and mixed it. After 5 to 10 minutes, I observed the increase in temperature. That means what? Enthalpy has changed. And that changed enthalpy will lead to change in its internal energy, change in its pressure and change in its volume also. With increasing temperature, volume increases, pressure also increases, that we know. So all these terms are considered over here. Okay. So how much amount of enthalpy is either absorbed or given out? The heat, that is delta H, difference between the enthalpies initial and final, is represented by delta H is equal to H2 minus H1. H2 is what? Substituting those values over here. And here we are having U1 plus P1 V1. Now by separating we get U2 minus U1, and here we are having plus P2 V2 minus P1 V1. So U2 minus U1 plus delta P2, or we can say delta P and V. Now if we are keeping the pressure constant, as we are carrying this process in open atmosphere or at constant pressure, we can say that P1 is equal to P2. If we are having delta P is equal to what? P2 minus P1. So if we are having P1 is equal to P2, then what will happen? This P will come out of the delta and we will get that U2 minus U1 plus P delta P. U2 minus U1 will be what? Delta U plus P delta P. This will be the representation for delta L is equal to delta U plus P delta P. And now in next videos we will see the relation between delta H and delta U depending upon the formula, and we will see the derivation, how we are going to derive those terms in our next videos. Thank you.